Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications because today we have some serious breaking news that is shaking the entire nation. And please, as you watch this video, do me a favor and smash that like button because it really helps us reach more people who need to know what is happening in our country right now. So, let me tell you what is going on. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, has just been summoned to appear in court tomorrow in Abuja. Now, I know what you are thinking. Why is this such big news? Well, let me break it down for you in a way that will make complete sense. And trust me, this story has more drama than a Nollywood movie. Just last week, on November 20th, Justice James Omotosho sentenced Nnamdi Kanu to life in prison. Yes, you heard that right, life imprisonment. The judge found him guilty on 7 different terrorism charges, and the whole thing happened in a very dramatic way. Kanu was actually removed from the courtroom by security agents because the judge said he was being unruly. Can you imagine? He kept insisting that the court had no right to judge him, that they did not have jurisdiction over him, but the judge went ahead and delivered the judgment, even though Kanu was not in the room anymore. Now, the judge could have given him the death penalty, but he chose life imprisonment instead. The judge said he was showing mercy because more and more countries around the world are moving away from the death penalty. So instead of death, Kanu got life imprisonment on 4 of the charges, 20 years on another charge, and 5 years on the last one. All of these sentences are running at the same time, which means he is basically serving life in prison. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is why you need to keep watching because the plot is about to thicken. Just 7 days after this life sentence, the same court is now calling Kanu to come back to Abuja. Now, you might be wondering, what more do they want from this man? Has he not been sentenced already? Well, the answer is yes, but there is something called settlement of records that needs to happen. Let me explain what settlement of records means in simple terms. Think of it like this. When someone loses a case and wants to appeal to a higher court, they need to gather all the documents, all the evidence, all the transcripts from the first trial, and organize everything properly. This organized package is what the higher court will look at when deciding whether the first court made any mistakes. So settlement of records is basically the court saying, okay, let us put everything together neatly so your appeal can move forward. It is a necessary step before the Court of Appeal can even look at your case. Now, here's the problem, and this is why the whole situation becomes confusing and honestly quite troubling. Nnamdi Kanu is currently being held in Sokoto prison. That is very far from Abuja. His family, specifically his brother Prince Emmanuel, is saying that the Federal High Court has refused to issue something very important called a production warrant. If you do not know what a production warrant is, let me break it down for you. A production warrant is the official paper that tells the prison authorities that they must bring the prisoner to court. Without this warrant, the prison cannot legally transport Kanu from Sokoto to Abuja. So, you see the confusion here? The court is telling Kanu to appear in court tomorrow at 11 in the morning, but the same court is not giving the prison the authorization to actually bring him there. It's like telling someone to come to a meeting, but not giving them the key to leave their house. How does that make sense? And before you go anywhere, remember to hit that like button if you are finding this information helpful. It really makes a difference. Now, let me take you deeper into why this case is so controversial, because there is so much more to this story than just what happened last week. Kanu's lawyers are raising some very serious legal questions that could change everything. First of all, they are saying that the judge used the wrong law to convict Kanu. The court used something called the Terrorism Prevention Act from 2013. But here's the thing, that law was cancelled and replaced with a new law in 2022 called the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act. The new law has much lighter punishment, usually between 10 and 20 years instead of life imprisonment. There is actually a legal principle that says when a law changes and the new law has lighter punishments, the court should use the lighter punishment. It's about fairness and justice. So Kanu's lawyers are saying the judge made a big mistake by using the old law that doesn't even exist anymore, instead of using the new law that should apply to his case. But wait, there is more. In June of this year, something very important happened in Kenya. A Kenyan High Court declared that the way Kanu was brought from Kenya to Nigeria back in 2021 was completely illegal. The court found that he was abducted, he was tortured, they denied him food and medicine, and then they forcefully deported him to Nigeria. International law says countries can't just kidnap people from other countries like that. Nigeria signed agreements saying they would not do things like this. So if the way Kanu got to Nigeria was illegal in the first place, does that mean the whole trial should not have happened? This is a massive question that his lawyers are definitely going to raise in the appeal. And if you are still with me, please make sure you subscribe to this channel because we are going to keep following this story and bringing you updates as they happen. We need to stay informed about what is going on in our country. Now, let me tell you why this case is about much more than just one person. The indigenous people of Biafra wants to create a separate country in the southeastern part of Nigeria. This brings back painful memories of the Biafra War that happened between 1967 and 1970. That war was devastating. Millions of people died. Families were torn apart. The scars from that time still affect people today. So when you hear about Biafra, you have to understand it's not just politics. It's deeply emotional for many people, especially those from the Igbo ethnic group. Former Senate President Adolphus Wabara said something very powerful after the judgment. He said the court did not just imprison Kanu, they imprisoned the entire Igbo race for life. Whether you agree with that statement or not, it shows you how many people in the Southeast feel about this case. They see it as being about more than just one man's actions. They see it as representative of bigger issues about fairness, regional treatment, and ethnic relations in Nigeria.